Hey, Exploring Espresso fans, Mike here. We got Lisa behind the camera today, so we're both here today. Yay!
Yay.
We are inside Brutus. Everybody knows Brutus. Everybody watched the video the last time, and I'll put a link to that video below so you can see it if you didn't see it. But one of the things that we talked about with Brutus was my Alpine stereo that I installed last summer. So, thought I'd do a review of that today and kind of tell you the process I had to go through to get this thing up and running and working like it should. So, without further ado, this is the ILX-F511. Like I said, it is an Alpine unit. The reason I went with Alpine is this Jeep particular model came with Alpine speakers. So I had Alpine speakers that has speakers above in the overhead bar, and then it has two speakers down below by our knees, and then also had these two tweeters. Lisa can get up here. There's one on either side of the dash that are the tweeters. So. Yeah, I do have a sub in the back too. I forgot about that. So it's back behind, right by the back gate. And those are all Alpine speakers. So I was really pretty impressed with the sound. It was the old school stereo in here. There was no touch screen, no backup camera. I mean, there was really nothing on it. Pretty basic. And it was starting to fail me from time to time. You'd get in and sometimes the phone would sync up, sometimes it wouldn't, the music would drop out, and it was having a myriad of problems. Of course, you know, the Jeep's a 2014, so at that point, it was probably about 8 years old when I decided to make the change. So did a little research, and Alpine got really good reviews. There's several different Alpine models that people put in their Jeeps. There's a model that you can get that comes with a full enclosure around it, and that's supposed to be waterproof, dustproof, and all that stuff. So I talked to a local installer before I had this done, and these units in and of themselves are we'll call them water resistant and dustproof. Nothing is what I'm going to call completely waterproof. Not when it comes to the stereos. So I don't ride a lot with my tops off. Usually if we're out someplace, we're overlanding and whatnot, I have my basket on top. So the tops, I can get them off, but that's not a normal for us. And I always carry them with me. So if it starts to rain or something, I can pull over and I can put them on. So I myself was not worried about the waterproofness, we'll call it, of the stereo. I was more concerned with the performance of the stereo. I did want to do a backup camera because my back tire takes up almost all my rear window, and it's hard to see sometimes, and I'm getting used to the backup camera. I've never had one, so I'm a mirror guy. I use the mirrors to back up with and Lisa's all the time, hey, you got a backup camera? So I'm using it, sort of.
But actually does pretty good with just the mirrors.
Just the mirrors, I do pretty well. So anyway, and one of the things, and before I turn this all on, with the F511, that's Alpine's first stereo that they came out with that is wireless. So I can do wireless CarPlay. I don't have to plug anything in. I can if I want to. It has two auxiliary plugs that are hidden in the glove box that I can plug in a phone and do the CarPlay that way. But I wanted the wireless feature. It was their latest and greatest model they came out with. I believe the previous model was a 510 prior to this, and then they came out with their 511. In reality, those numbers really equate to the screen size, and the 511 is the biggest screen that they made. So I'm like, I'll just get the 511 because it's great for reading maps and everything because you have more of a view and everything with that as well. So I like that feature. One thing that I will say before I turn this thing on, and I learned, is it's great that I bought their first iteration of this, but it's not necessarily the best thing. So I learned there were some issues that Alpine needed to hammer out before it became really functional the way I wanted to use it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, we'll turn it on. My phone's in my lap. Sorry for the beep beep sound. There we are, Alpine in motion and mobility. Isn't that awesome? HD radio, takes a second to fire up. This is the initial login screen when you first get to start signing in. There we hooked up. So it's synced to my phone. So, all right. So that first screen you came up to, you can hit, there's all these touch buttons off to the side, and it will pull up. You have your option for your phone, your messages. When a message comes across, a text message, it shows it at the bottom, shows it who it's from, and you can opt to play it or not play it. If you don't want to play it, just let it go and it'll go away. Through here, I can have my music, and this is really what's on my phone. And then, I have my library and everything in here. I just punch up, there's my library. I scroll down, there's all my playlists and songs and compilation. On the radio, on this part particular, this is all the stuff through my phone, through Apple Music that I happen to have. So you can go back to the bottom screen and it pulls up everything in here. And it's just flip over. All the way to the left, it shows the map. And then it shows, what's there now. And then it shows all my map stuff for the home screens and all that stuff are. I have podcasts in here I can listen to. I have the news. I have audiobooks. There's my calendar I can pull up. Google Maps. I have Pandora. I have Gaia GPS is on here. Onyx Off-Road is in here, which I do use Onyx Off-Road quite a bit. I have some Spotify stuff. I can do a Zoom meeting from here. All my Telegram's on there now too. That's a new meeting system that I'm doing with, and some online trading I'm doing. But that's another story. Okay, so if I come back in here, I've got MapQuest on here too. You can, with the auxiliary, you can pull up, and while I'm sitting, I can watch a video. But while I'm moving, it won't allow you to watch a video. So if you're in motion, it's not going to allow that. Let's go over here. So there's just kind of want to show you what Google Maps looks like. It pulls it up. Find a gas station. There we go. So that gas station. So there we are. Again, I like it because it is all touchscreen and I can hit it. There I go. I got a message there. I can opt not to play it and it'll just. So the other thing you can do with this, which I really like. So I did opt with the dual cameras. So down here at the bottom, little button, that's my rear camera. We're now looking at my lovely garage. If I hit it again, that's my front camera. So I am looking down the driveway. I was hesitant about the front camera, but I've learned I like the front camera simply because when I'm on a trail, I can now see before I get to an obstacle what that looks like as I'm going over it. Do I need to change my angle of approach and all that stuff? So it's really great. I like having that. What I have learned with the rear camera, if I'm hauling my trailer and I have a load back there that I kind of need to keep an eye on every once in a while, I can pop that up and see what my load's doing without having to pull over and look at it and all that stuff. So that's actually kind of great to be able to do that as well. So there's the camera, so you can turn that off. The other thing you can do, you can go in here and customize. Oops, I'm sorry, hit that again. You can customize your settings, so it has the normal fade balance setting. You can change your EQ. It has built-in EQs that you can just pick. You can choose. You can, if you know a little bit about your high-pass filters and low-pass filters, you can set those for front speakers and rear speakers and the subwoofer. Because I am a musician and I play with a little bit of that with the software I use when we're playing. So I know a little bit how to tweak my high and low pass filters. You can find stuff on YouTube to figure those out. So I've configured that. I don't use a standard setting for my stereo. You can do some time corrections. And basically what that does is you can change how much is coming out of your left side and your right side, front and rear, and sub all the way down. So there's a lot of stuff you can do in here to tweak your sound. So my audiophile guys, this is a great system. because it will allow you to do that stuff that you want to do to get that sound on my audiophiles, that the audiophile people that you want to do. There's all kind of bass settings in here, and again, the EQ settings. So we go back to the front. This is normally what I use. This is our basic screen. If you want to listen just the radio, so that's the radio. There's our local stations. If you want to, and you're in a different area, it's really great. You can click and hold on that, and it will find your local stations for you. So you don't have to go find your local stations. So right now it's going through, and it'll pick the stations, and it rolls through, and it's just going to pick the first one at the top. But these are all my local stations. So when, let's say an example, when I was in Virginia last fall, obviously these stations aren't there. So if I want to find a radio station, I just press and hold on that. It will find them for me, which is really great because Lisa's car won't do that. Her fancy Mustang won't do that, but this will. So it's really great. I love that feature. When we did the stereo at the same time, I was able to get the S65C. Sorry, I had to look that, make sure I had the right numbers. Speakers. So the speakers in the bar above her head and then down by her knees, those were changed out. Those were actually changed out for me free of charge. Wow, that's really cool. Why do you ask?
Why did they do that?
Why did they do that? All right, so when I said about not buying the first iteration of a product when it comes out, I really kind of meant that. We got this put in, and I drove away. My phone was not connecting up to the stereo. Major issues, problems with that. Sometimes I would plug it in direct and it would hook up to the stereo. So with some conversation with the installer back and forth, found out Alpine needed to fix something. We thought it was the phone. We changed settings on the phone. We turned phone on and off, just a lot of different things with the phone. Well, it turns out it was a problem at Alpine when they made this unit and did the programming. So Alpine had to come with a software update. Alpine got the software update. They sent it to the installer. Installer said, either you can do it or I can do it. I said, I would prefer that you did it. So I went back. They tried to install it. It wouldn't install. So I'm left. Same thing, same issue. A little frustrated. I went back. Probably a half dozen times. I had to go back to the shop with issues with the unit. They were very gracious. They were very surprised how calm I was. Well,
me too.
Yeah. So I said, look, you're a small business. I'm a small business. Excuse me, I get it. So because I was patient, he wanted to do something for me. So he graciously he got Alpine to kick in, gave me the speakers. So I got upgraded speakers, which was really, really cool. Got them installed, went to pick the Jeep up, drove away. I don't like all my music up here. I like most of it back here. So I tried to do the fade from the front to the rear. I did all the way down. And when I faded it all the way to the back, my sound went completely away. I turned around in the parking lot. I went back to the installer, said da-da-da. He said, well, why would you want to do that? I said, well, that's a weird question because I like to do that. So they checked it out and they said, well, you're going to need an amplifier. I said, well, this Jeep has an amplifier. They were like, what? I said, yeah, it's got an amplifier back below the driver's left speaker. Oh. So they looked at that. Sure enough, there's an amplifier down there with the Alpine stereo on the Sahara model in 2014. Jeep put an amplifier down there. So they say we needed the amplifier, so split back and front to rear. So, okay, well, let's fix it. Oh, we don't have the cable for it. So another month and a half went by. The cable finally came in. I had to call and ask about it. And I said, yeah, your cable's in. So we went back, we got the cable put back in, and everything worked fine. So since that time, everything has worked great. I love the stereo. It's a great stereo. There was just a lot of pain issues going through trying to get it to work. I feel like Alpine has fixed a lot of their issues. I've been looking online a little bit on and off, and I don't see any issues people ask, with this stereo. So I think they've gotten them fixed as they've gone forward. So again, it's all about buying the first time the product comes out. I will learn someday.
Probably not.
But anyway, so that's the stereo. I really love it. I love it for the backup cameras, which we really, really wanted. The front camera was an added bonus, and just everything it will do. Again, being with the band and a kind of a sound guy, I love the functionality and what I can tweak on it. So that's why I really love it. So anyway, that is the Alpine ILX-F511. They're 11-inch touchscreen stereo, and just check it out. I'll put a link below for the unit. You can go look it up online yourself. And always like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.